Hello, you're watching World News live from Warsaw. My name is Sasha Farbach. Volodymyr Zelensky told AFP on Friday that Ukraine is not losing its war against Russia, saying its forces have reclaimed hundreds of square kilometers in a new counteroffensive. He also argued that in the event of a ceasefire, European troops should be deployed directly to the front line. We go live now to our correspondent, Don Arleth, in Kiev. Now, give us your sense. You're on the ground of those latest comments by President Zelensky.
Yes, well, President Zelensky is saying that Ukraine has liberated 300 square kilometers of land. He didn't specify exactly where this is, but we can all assume that it's likely on the southern line, on the Zaporizhia region and in the Dnipropetrovsk region, where Russia has, well, relatively recently made some progress there. But we know that the Russians are concentrating forces in Donetsk because that's the territory that they really want to take. That's the big holdup in Geneva as well, as whether, Ukraine should cede that territory. Now, Ukraine hasn't reported any gains since September of 2025, about 150 square kilometers, this potentially doubling that. So this is a good sign. And you quoted President Zelensky saying we're definitely not losing this war. Well, the General Staff came out to say that 1,259,000 troops, that's the total toll since February of 2022. Here on the battlefield in Ukraine, Russian losses. And that is on par with that CSIS report that was released at the end of January that claimed about 1.25 million Russian soldiers had been lost since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. It also goes to show that Russia wants to concentrate its forces over in the Donbass. The Ukrainian officials are saying that they are rejecting any kind of swap or leaving that territory, holding up those peace talks in Geneva, among other things. But what they are currently advocating is a freeze along the front lines, currently where the front lines stand, and also potentially in the Donetsk region, which is so contested, to essentially evacuate the area of the military and instate some kind of authorities that would be in control there, made up of Ukrainians and Russians. However, we know that Russia continues its maximalist demand that Ukraine leave the territory that it controls, just simply handing it over to the Russians, which is an absolute no-go here in Ukraine. Back to you.
Right, thanks for that update. Really important key stuff. I know we'll be checking in on you over the next few days because you're there on the ground marking that full-scale invasion by Russia. Thanks so much for that. Don Arleth in Kiev. Only one person in the world can stop this war, and that's Vladimir Putin. Those are the words of Kiev Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, who spoke to TVP World's Oz Chatterjee in an exclusive interview. The leader of the Ukrainian capital stressed it's important to remember Moscow's imperial ambitions are still strong.
One person in the world can stop this war. The same person who's starting this war. I'm talking about President of Russia, Putin. Putin can easily stop this senseless war. And Russians accept that just strong position. If you're weak, they never ever pay attention to you. And that's why we have to be strong. In the front line, we have to be strong inside the country. We have to be strong together with our partners, because with partners we are times stronger. And that's why it's very important unity around Ukraine. Unity for democratic world, European country. Destability, one of the largest countries in Europe, can bring destability in the whole region, and that's why from peace in Ukraine depends the future in Europe. I hope everyone understands that. We fighting and defending not just our homeland, we defending every one of you. It will be biggest mistake to think the war far away. It doesn't touch me personally. It's biggest mistake. This war actually touched everyone in Ukraine, millions of people. Already touched a lot of people in Europe. And also, it's not secret, the goal of Putin to rebuild Soviet empire. They never accept Ukraine as independent country. They told Ukraine was always the part of Russian empire. Exactly the same about Baltic countries, about Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia.
Now to the United States. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled on Friday that President Trump had overstepped his authority when he ordered tariffs on imports from almost every country. The White House had no immediate comment on the ruling, but Trump called it a disgrace.
We're going to be taking in next year $900 billion in tariffs, unless the Supreme Court said you can't do it. Can you believe it?
Unless the Supreme Court says you can't do it, which is exactly what happened on Friday in a stinging blow to U.S. President Donald Trump's economic agenda. In a 6-3 decision with 3 conservative justices in the majority camp, the court ruled that a 1977 law known as the International Emergency Economic Powers Act did not authorize the president to push through tariffs without the approval of Congress.
Well, the Supreme Court, as I understand the decision, is about the presidential powers vis-a-vis the congressional powers. And it says, the president of the United States went beyond the powers he actually has.
The ruling targeted 2 categories of tariffs, the so-called reciprocal tariffs imposed last April, which vary by country, along with the 25% standalone tariff imposed on China, Canada, and Mexico. But not all of Trump's tariffs were affected by the ruling, particularly those on automobiles, steel, and aluminum. Nonetheless, it's a painful blow to Donald Trump, who has argued that tariffs will help revive U.S. manufacturing and lower the trade deficit. Along with eliminating many of the tariffs, the Supreme Court's decision could put more pressure on an already struggling U.S. dollar.
In the short run, we will observe the drop of the exchange rate of the dollar against major world currencies, and that is to some extent a good news for the U.S. manufacturers.
It could also lift stock markets around the world, which have been rattled by tariffs in the past on more than one occasion.
The markets are breathing a sigh of relief for now. The question, of course, is how the markets will react as events unfold. Will Donald Trump comply and repay the tariffs plus interest, or will he find new ways to generate the necessary revenue? For now, it is a defeat.
Regardless of the Trump administration's next moves, today's decision is a major setback for the White House. For TVP World, I'm Maciej Wilowski.
The Hungarian general election has officially started on Saturday. Experts expect an intensified campaign from the ruling Fidesz party and the opposition TISZA, which is leading in the opinion polls for the time being. Starting today, sympathizers of both parties will be able to officially endorse them ahead of the ballot scheduled for April 12th. But top Hungarian politicians have practically already started their political rallies. Incumbent Prime Minister Viktor Orbán, who has ruled the country continuously since 2010, has already been tapping into the anti-Ukrainian rhetoric, labeling the country Hungary's enemy. The main opponents to the EU skeptical politician, leader of TISZA, Peter Magyar, has tried to garner support by promising to fight against corruption in the country. Violence has broken out in Albania's capital, Tirana, as anti-government protesters confronted police outside the Prime Minister's office. The demonstrations follow corruption allegations against a senior official, with opposition supporters calling on Prime Minister Edi Rama to step down.
These images show fireworks being launched at the office of Edi Rama, the country's prime minister. Police respond with water cannons, then come flames and more explosions. Tirana has seen several clashes like this since December last year. That was when the country's Special Prosecution Office accused the Prime Minister's deputy, Belinda Beluku, of corruption, suspecting possible interference in construction contracts worth more than 200 million euros. The protests, organized by the Albanian opposition, demand Prime Minister Rama's resignation.
Norway's Begby Isle Fitness Group is proving that age doesn't slow them down. For 6 decades, members have met every week to train, compete and stay active. The group's average age is above 70, but despite that, they continue to welcome new members. Here's a story of the old boys.
6 decades and counting. These gentlemen just can't stop.
We are a group of activity lovers from Begby, and we have been doing this for 60 years. I have been involved for 35 years.
Under coach Kolstad's watchful eyes, the team practices every Wednesday.
The group's average age is above 70.
But anyone can join, really.
We absolutely want more people here, and there are no age restrictions.
The only requirement here is to share a sense of purpose.
I am running a strict policy. The guys are not here to talk. They're here to train, period.
Now we move to Spain. The legendary Spanish cathedral, Sagrada Familia, has finally reached its originally intended height of 172.5 meters, becoming the tallest church in the world. The crowning moment took place with the help of a large crane when construction workers placed the final upper arm of the church's cross into position.
It's wonderful, spectacular. I recommend all tourists and everyone to come and see it.
Well, the truth is that the Sagrada Familia is something wonderful, something enchanting. I'm not Spanish, I'm Argentinian, and every time I could come here, I came to look at it, and I still do, as you can see now that you've caught me.
Oh, that is cool. Oh my God. And now the bell is ringing. Oh, I'm here to experience that. That's a great pleasure for me.
Wow, it is so beautiful. It takes your breath away. It's now the tallest cathedral in the world. Yeah, it's just beautiful. It's awe-inspiring.
It's incredible. I've known it since I was a child, and there's been a lot of work involved in displaying the cross atop the Tower of Jesus Christ. It's truly incredible. I can't describe the emotion.
And finally, a strange case out of Sicily. Authorities say a resident trained his dog to dump trash on the street to avoid surveillance cameras. City officials in Catania released CCTV video of a small dog trotting to the side of a road and dropping bags of trash on 2 separate occasions. Investigators say the dog appears trained to do the owner's dirty work, while the man stayed out of sight. Authorities called the tactic clever, but doubly wrong, saying it dirtied the streets and dragged an innocent dog into the mess. The owner has been identified and fined. Reminder that responsibility cannot be outsourced, even to man's best friend. And with that, we conclude World News, but stay right here on TVP World for more commentary. Bye.